Welcome aboard to the 2024 Toyota Sequoia SR5 with a hybrid max powertrain. Let me show you guys around this hybrid full-size SUV. For $70,000, you get an iForce Max 3.4-liter twin-turbo V6 hybrid powertrain with 437 horsepower and 583 pound-feet of torque, mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission, plus you get 4-wheel drive with a 2-speed transfer case and an automatic limited slip differential. The iForce Max powertrain is pretty cool since you average about 20 miles per gallon, which is considerably more than the previous generation Sequoia. Let's begin our review of the Sequoia by taking a look at the front end. I love this giant trapezoidal grille. It definitely helps to separate it from the Tundra. However, one thing that is also common with the Tundra are these full LED headlights and halogen turn signals. If you gotta keep halogens in 2023, it's best to do it with the soft light. I also really like these LED fog lights on the bottom as well. With this bumper protector, that looks a little unnatural, but it's fully functional. Again, this really helps to separate it apart from the Tundra. Of course, we have our big Toyota badge with our camera right here, and of course it's blue because of course we have that hybrid max powertrain. It's incredibly quick and it's very fun to drive. Over here we have these beautiful 18-inch TRD rims. I love the machined face around it. Still gives you plenty of rubber for an incredibly smooth ride out on the highway. I also really like how we have running boards on this particular Sequoia, which means it's going to be very easy to get in and out of. A lot of Tundras don't come standard with running boards, so it's nice to see it here. The side profile is really nice. I like the bold fenders on each side with the little plastic fender flares, and I really like this trim that goes up there and ends on the top of the window. Working our way around the back, you can see that we have LED taillights and turn signals. I love how absolutely massive these are. Very cool looking, and we appear to have LED reverse lights as well. The back end is a really nice place to be because we have this really awesome little button here. If you push this, it actually pops the back glass, and they even give you a little tab. You can pull that and open it to access the inside if you want to put something on here or if you just want to throw something in. But if you want to fully open it, you just press down here, and we have a fully powered liftgate as well, giving you full access to your third row and your rear liftgate area, which we'll take a look at later. But of course, you can lock it or you can just close it normally. Plus, we even have the feature where if you wave your foot underneath the liftgate, it'll also open that way too. So overall, it's a really functional back liftgate of this Toyota Sequoia. Plus, we even have a rear wiper, and we even have this really nice LED rear light, which is really useful if you're backing up at night. We'll take a look at that switch in just a minute. Before we take a look at the interior, I want to show you these giant roof racks with these awesome crossbars, meaning you can attach pretty much anything to the top of your Sequoia. A lot of SUV owners are really looking for that. But even though the exterior is pretty freaking cool, the interior is also a really nice place to be. Let's start with this lovely leather-wrapped heated steering wheel with this really nice perforation. Love the way this feels in the hand, especially with the 9-3 grips right here. These are your radio controls here and here, along with your volume controls. These are your cruise controls. We, of course, have adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assist, which is awesome to see at this price point. And these controls control your fully digital screen right here. You can see everything from your fuel economy, your compass, audio information, tire pressure, trailer braking, all of your safety assist systems, and you can even customize this gauge cluster even further. And you can even see warning messages as per normal Toyotas. But this thing is insanely customizable. You can customize the right side, you can customize the middle, and you can customize the left side. However, I do wish you could just have two regular gauges side by side. That would be the way I would personally have it. But anyway, this steering wheel column has built-in headlight controls. You have your turn signals, they have a nice feel to them. You got your typical Toyota wiper controls, plus your rear wiper back there too. And we also have a tilting and telescoping steering wheel too, so tilt and loads of telescoping. So it's really easy to get comfortable in your Sequoia. I also really like these bold air vents right here too. I like the fake silver look throughout the interior. Working our way down here, we have this really cool light. This basically turns on another license plate light so you can see when you're backing up at night. These are your auto high beams. This opens your fuel door. This is to adjust your gauge cluster lighting, as you can see here, so you can have loads of customization. This resets your odometer. This turns off your rear cross traffic alert, where basically it'll detect if someone is walking behind you when you're trying to back out of a parking space, or you could just back into the parking space like I do. Over here you have more adjustable interior lighting, and we also have your button for your heated steering wheel. This enables and disables the power inverter, giving you access to household power. That is really nice to see at this price point. We have full one-touch down and up windows for all the windows, and we even have power folding mirrors, which of course are adjustable with this little joystick. That's also nice to see. Let's look at the door panel real quick. I really like how there's a bunch of tiers of door panels. We have a nice little shelf here, and we have some giant bottle pockets down here too. But let's go ahead and close the door and stay away from the wind and take a look at the upper part. Nice soft touch here. We got some hard plastics up here, which is a little disappointing to see at this price point, but this head unit more than makes up for all of it. We have this absolutely giant head unit with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Down here we have fully physical dual zone climate control. It's a little bit difficult to jump from low to high because you have to notch it for each temperature, but again, you can do this without looking at it while you're driving. That part I really appreciate. If you press this, you can adjust the rear's single zone. I do wish the rear had 2 zones like the Toyota Sienna does, for example, but again, you're getting what you're getting. Most full-size SUVs have tri-zone climate control, so it's plenty competitive. We also have heated seats. I assume this is a blank switch for optional ventilated seats. We don't get that at this price point, which is definitely disappointing to see since something like the Chevy Tahoe and GMC Yukon provide that at this price point. But anyways, all the buttons feel fantastic. We have a rear diff lock. We have hazards here, traction control off. This allows you to see your 360 camera with a 3D view, and you can see it looks absolutely insane. It's fully customizable, and you can see just about everything. And you can even customize the color of your Sequoia, which is really cool. So we're inside a black one. So let's go ahead and select black. We can turn that off by pressing that again. Going back to our interface. So it looks definitely much bigger in person because they basically just scale this whole head unit up from the base 8-inch head unit that you would see on like a Tundra SR5. Down here we have your park brake, which also has auto hold. That's also nice to see since you might be off-roading with this thing at some point. Over here we have nice little phone compartments. That part I really appreciate because there's plenty of room for 2 phones and a little notch to go in between. This is your shifter for your 10-speed automatic. Love to see a 10-speed. Those are my favorite transmissions. Super smooth while out on the highway. Over here, we have a little door for your cup holders. Now, I do wish they had 2 teeth on the other side, but you can fit pretty large cups in here, so it doesn't really matter, and it's nice that you can cover it up whenever it's not in use. Over here, we have your 2-speed transfer case. You can go to 4 high and 4 low if you have some really tough terrain to go over. We also have drive modes over here too. So we got your multi-terrain select, your DAC/crawl mode, which is insanely cool. And we also have your tow haul mode if you're towing like a trailer or something. The Toyota Sequoia is meant to tow, and this is your drive mode. Now, if you turn this dial, I'll show you what shows up on the screen. You can choose between sport, normal, and of course, eco, which are your typical 3 Toyota modes. The sport mode makes the engine response a little bit quicker and tightens up the steering, and the eco is really intended to save on fuel. Definitely a nice thing to see there. You got your towing controls right here, and I really love this red TRD start button. I think the coolest thing you can do in a car is make a start button red. Let's work our way over here. We have some nice silver trim. I really like that. It is plastic, but it's pretty nice. I do wish they gave you a shelf like they did in the Tundra, but it's this nice soft touch, so that more than makes up for all of it. Down here we have your fully lockable glove box with tons of interior space. We got a bunch of factory stuff chilling in there. And let's take a look at these seats for a second. Again, they're fully heated, not ventilated at this price point, but they have this really cool perforated texture on them, and they are insanely comfortable. They got these giant bolsters with tons of support, and they got these really nice headrests with lots of stitching. Now, before we wrap up the front seat, I want to show you guys the center console. We have this nice little door that retracts like that. You can put your phone here if you want, or you can press these buttons, which there's one on each side, and you can open for access to your giant, gargantuan center console with little coin slots, USB-C, USB-A, and we even have a nice little partition there, so you can put even more stuff there if you so need. It's a little bit difficult to get back in there when I'm holding the camera, but you get the idea. Lots of interior space. Working our way up, we have a sunglass holder. Love to see that. You got all your cabin lighting controls, your SOS telematics. We got your LED convenience light mirror right here. These are absolutely giant sun visors, and they are fully extendable. Again, in an SUV this big, you really need something like that, but we're not done. You can also go ahead and open your lift gate from here if you want to, and you can also open up your sunroof. Now, I do wish that this was a fully panoramic sunroof, but again, we have a light headliner, so that makes up for it as well. Again, I do wish we had a panoramic sunroof, but it's nice that we have one at all to let in all of that light. So while the front seat is a nice place to be in the Sequoia, the back seat features ample legroom, with this seat being in my default driving position, and quite a bit of headroom as well. Now, we also have our own zone of climate control back here. You have a USB-A port, a USB-C port, and we even have a household power outlet back here, giving everyone a place to put their phones. We also have cup holders back here, our own air vents here and here, plus a convenience light and a grab handle here and here. I do wish the door panels were not hard plastic. That's definitely a little disappointing to see for a $70,000 SUV, considering its competitors have way softer door panels in the back. Let's take a look at the door panel real quick. We have the same design as the front, even though we obviously have to curve around the wheel arch. We still have a nice shelf. We also have bottle pockets down there, giving you more space to put your drinks. Again, we have tons of legroom back here, and we have door pockets here and here. One thing I do wish that these Sequoia seats would do is slide, but unfortunately, as you can see, they don't slide. However, we can pull this lever to fully recline the seat, giving you a nice place to relax in the back of your Sequoia, as you can see. Plus, we have one-touch down and up windows to give you even more ventilation in the back if you want. As a matter of fact, let me sit back here and relax. I can really straighten out back here. I have quite a bit of room. Again, I do wish we had a little bit more going on in this headliner, such as something like a panoramic sunroof. So to end off the second row, we also have this nice center armrest with these two cup holders. Again, I wish there was a little more complexity to them, but I like this little notch where you can put your phone, and it's quite comfortable too. But first, let's take a look at the middle seat comfort. You can see there's a little bit of a transmission tunnel, so my feet are pretty much forced to the outer ends there. But once I'm sitting in the middle seat, I get plenty of room for my fellow co-passengers, and I still have quite a bit of headroom too, which means that I could be in this middle seat for a decent drive. However, I think that the middle seat in the Chevrolet Tahoe is just a little bit bigger. So even though the second row offers quite a bit of amenities, the third row can be accessed by pulling this lever forward, creating one giant swooping motion of the seat, giving us access to the third row. Now let's get back here and take a look at the comfort aspect. Once we get back here, you can see I actually have quite a bit of legroom. My knees are a little bit above the seat, but it's not too bad. And you can see headroom is pretty tight, but considering that I have quite a bit of room back here, it's not the worst thing. I also get my own power reclining seats, allowing me to recline further back, at least when my head isn't hitting the headliner. This is pretty much how the old Sequoia was. It didn't give you a ton of headroom in the third row, but it gave you quite a bit of legroom. But with the new Chevy Tahoe switching to independent rear suspension, it definitely makes it a little more competitive than this. But again, having that reclinable third row is freaking awesome. We also have two cup holders here, and one USB Type-C port back here. Now, I will mention that the Chevy Tahoe has two USB-C ports in the third row, so points lost there. But again, we have the power recline, which is definitely a nice thing to see. And these seats are also relatively comfortable. Let's sit in the middle. We barely have a transmission tunnel because the floor is already as high as it is. But you can see that the middle seat is not terrible either. If I pull this little headrest up, I can actually get pretty comfortable back here. And I have plenty of room for my fellow co-passengers, giving me loads of room in the third row, or at least for a third row, in this Sequoia. I also want to point out that compared to its competitors, the Sequoia has one of the largest rear windows. Typically, they'll have a giant C-pillar right here, giving you an abysmal rear window, but I really like how Toyota has positioned it closer to the front so you can really see everything that's going on outside here. So one funny thing about the Sequoia is that even though the second row doesn't slide, the third row actually slides forward and back by using these little levers here, and you can even slide them from the rear area as well. However, if I slide this forward, you can see that I pretty much have no legroom. So really, this is only meant to be used if, for example, you need to put more stuff in the back seat of the Sequoia. The rear liftgate area doesn't offer a ton of space either. We don't even get a false floor, but we do get a convenience power outlet and some convenience lights. Plus, we have power folding third row seats. We just need to remember to fold these headrests down before they get down there, but you can see they did it on their own. They beat me to it, and you can see that once they're fully folded, we got these nice little levers. Now these levers actually slide the seats back, as you can see, giving us a lot more legroom in the third row, which would otherwise be abysmal and therefore not useful. Let's go ahead and put the seats back up real quick and see how much space we get in the back with the third row fully up. You can see that we still don't have a ton of space back here. You can fit a few grocery bags. You can fit like a sedan's trunk worth of stuff back here. But again, if you need to use the third row, you pretty much have to slide it up to get that extra space. But if we fold all of the seats in the back of the Sequoia, we can actually lift this shelf up, put it in one of these several inserts, flip up these guys, moving the first aid kit out of the way, of course, and we can create a semi-flat load floor, although it's quite high, giving us lots of space beneath here. However, if you want to fold those seats up as well, you can do it the old-fashioned way, which is definitely nice if you're trying to carry taller items. But of course, we can fold these guys up and remove this shelf and put it back where it belongs. But you can see these little notches actually fit into these guys, meaning we can use this as a shelf for the back seat of our Sequoia. I do kind of wish that this third row was removable to really take advantage of this giant space we have in the back of the Sequoia. But considering that the second row seats are pretty comfortable and we have power reclining third row seats, it's not a terrible trade-off. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and put this shelf back in its place, use our power lift gate, and I think it's time to take a look at the driving impressions of this Toyota Sequoia. So I think the biggest question on everybody's mind is gonna be, how is the iForce Max compared to the regular iForce? Now, the Toyota Sequoia is not optional without a hybrid. The hybrid is standard across the board, and that also increases the MSRP to an insanely high $70,000 at the base level. Even though the base level comes pretty well equipped, it's still pretty insane to say you're paying 70 grand for an SR5. You do notice the performance though. You can see right there that the engine is currently off. It kind of starts and stops whenever it feels the need to, and it takes a little bit of getting used to, but you don't really notice it once you're out on the road. There's your little max indicator and also your iForce turbo indicator, because again, we have a twin turbo V6. It's insanely quick, it's insanely powerful, and really fun to drive. Again, it drives like a small car, especially when you're accelerating in a straight line, at least when you're not dealing with all the body roll, but it's definitely a little bit quicker than the regular twin turbo, although I do kind of wish they just offered the non-hybrid twin turbo on the Sequoia. I know it would be more than enough power. You can see the engine just kicked on right there. We also don't have an EV mode in this, which is very interesting, given that most of the other Toyota hybrids I've driven have that. Now, the steering feel, it's kind of vague a little bit, but it's very easy to point it in whatever direction you need. It's definitely nice having a tighter turning radius compared to the Toyota Tundra. Looking down at the pedals, I like how they're stainless steel, but you can see they are top mounted. However, they have a nice little arch, so they feel nice and natural on your foot. So again, not the worst pedal feel there. Brake feel is also pretty good too. That part I really appreciate. They're not too sensitive, but it's not too hard to stop this thing either. Definitely a little bit of a nicer driving experience, I would say, than something like a Chevy Tahoe. So it has that trade-off. So even though the Sequoia has a slightly smaller interior compared to its competitors, it is a little bit faster, a little bit funner to drive. But let me know, would you take this over something like a 5.7 used Sequoia, or even a 5.3 liter or 6.2 liter Chevy Tahoe, which you can totally get for around this price point? Be sure to let me know. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching my review of the 2024 Toyota Sequoia SR5 with the iForce Max powertrain. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys on my next review. Drive safe.